I am starting to believe that Netflix went to the dumpster, picked up all the men from there, and then took them to this experiment because just buckle up. Hi everyone, this is Karen, and we are going to be doing Love is Blind today, episodes 7, 8, and 9. As we get back to the honeymoon, Jimmy's apologizing to Chelsea about putting her in a position where she felt pain.
I want to make sure you know that I am very sorry and I love you.
She tells him all I need to do is to acknowledge when something hurts me. They say I love you and move on. Kenneth and Brittany talk about the conversation that he had with AD and the concerns about Brittany being able to raise Black children. Her only concern was if this conversation was brought up with ill intent, and since it wasn't, there's nothing to worry about. Kenneth states that there's some real concerns, and when they meet his people, they might have a lot of questions about the relationship. Brittany wants to know what will make Kenneth say we are good. Like, what does she need to do to make sure that their people, like his people, are okay with this relationship? He tells her that actions aligning with words are what's going to make it or break it. I don't think Brittany is going to have a hard time with this at all, but I'm not so sure about Kenneth. Let's go over the main things that happened in this episode. Starting with Jeremy and Laura. She's telling us how he slept on the sofa and did not want to talk to her after last night. This whole bean dip situation was triggering to her because in past relationships, her partners used to embarrass her. However, this is different because, honey, you embarrass yourself.
I look like the biggest asshole in the world.
To who? Clearly not to America. Maybe to Laura.
So like I never in a million years would have thought that you would have repeated any of that to anyone else.
I get not wanting to talk about personal conversations with other people, but this was more than just a personal conversation. This was Laura objectifying AD and embarrassing herself. Jeremy wants to know if she still likes him, and she tells him that the fact that he ices her out completely is what's making her doubt their relationship. He also apologizes multiple times to her over what occurred, but Laura did not, and I think this is something that we need to take notice of. Amy and Johnny are doing pretty well. Their physical connection has been growing a lot. Everything has been going well, and both of them are literally just waiting for a fight to happen so they can see how they get through it.
Kind of want that initial first fight just to see how it goes down and see what kind of things are said.
And based on the previews, we have seen that it might be the birth control subject. When we see Kenneth and Brittany, there is so much awkwardness and silence between them. They finally break into a small conversation, and if we thought that the awkwardness was done, it is not. Brittany expresses to Kenneth her love language is physical touch, but he's not feeling it.
I am very, you see how I'm always, do you appreciate, do you like that? What is your view on physical touch?
I love it.
He can say he likes it, but his actions are showing otherwise because we haven't really seen that side of him, at least for now. Kenneth felt like he was smothering her at times, but when she confirms that that is not the case, it's not like he changes his behavior. It feels like after the conversation that he had with AD, things changed quite a bit, and I'm not sure they'll get better. When we move to Clay and AD is super excited to go back home and call her family, and I am super excited too because once they are back in Charlotte, AD is also going to meet his parents. Clay looks kind of concerned, and when AD asks him what's going on in his head, he says he doesn't want to let her down.
I don't know, I really don't want to let you down, you know what I'm saying? I just feel that.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
There's a big date right around the corner, but because of his past, he's struggling with the idea of divorce and staying faithful to his partner.
That was just such a crazy switch up to turn him around and look at me and say, I just feel like I'm gonna let you down.
But you can lie to yourself all you want. This is who you pick, and this was not sudden. Now the couples are off to beach day, and here Chelsea shares with the girls that her and Jeremy are at a whole different level. You know who's also at a whole different level? Me. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can be part of this community we have here.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Chelsea says that the floodgates were open, they were giving, they were doing all they could do. Yes, we are talking about sex. Jimmy also lets AD know that because of the conversation he had with Chelsea, things are better for both of them.
And like I just always thought that like everyone was on birth control, like that's it. Because I'm like, no, 100%. Like I was so ignorant of that too. Like
I'm super glad the producers kept this conversation between Johnny and Laura because I think birth control is so normalized for women to the point that this grown man thinks that all women are in it. And he has no idea about the years of research that have shown the damage that birth control has done to our body. We gain weight, have mood swings, and many suffer from depression because of it. So I do think that Johnny handled it pretty well, but it does go to show that we need more people to understand this subject, mainly men. Later on, Jeremy also approaches AD to apologize over the bean dip joke. He also tells her that he has noticed how Clay tends to be a little introspective, which means that he examines and observes his own mental health and emotions, and it's exactly how he used to act in the pods with them. After she hears this, she's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you said this because the entire time I thought I was an issue.
Wow, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I needed that.
Good.
That was a confidence boost
Good.
for me.
There's another conversation that takes place between Amy and Jeremy where Amy shares that she's a little scared about two things: living with someone else and Johnny meeting her dad because he was not supportive of this process. Amy then asks Jeremy how he feels about Laura, and he says everything is great, but he brings up Sarah.
I would still be friends with her outside of this.
I'm gonna just.
Yeah.
Why are you even bringing her up? This happens every season where they make a choice and then question their choice. Amy seems uncomfortable and asks the girl, I know I wouldn't want to hear that because now I feel a responsibility to share this information with Laura. Are you a girly girl? Back in the hotel room, Johnny and Amy are talking about how in her past relationships, she has overshared a lot of information with her family, and that has influenced the decisions she makes. She also breaks the news to us that if she doesn't get her dad's approval, she's not going to marry him.
If I don't get my dad's blessing, I don't know if I can move forward.
I understand that parents are very important in a relationship, but if you are sharing every detail, don't forget that your parents won't forget what that person did to you, even if you do. The couples are back in Charlotte, and here comes the real test: living with each other, meeting parents, friends, and the remaining cast members. The first couple we get is Jeremy and Laura talking about things they shouldn't do that are going to annoy the other person. Jeremy tells her, please don't leave dishes on the sink, and Laura tells him to not act like a barn animal. Next, we get Kenneth and Brittany, and she is ready to tackle the home. She's setting everything up, unpacking, asking questions, and Kenneth is on his phone. I understand he was working to an extent, but even when he goes downstairs, he's still on his phone. He could have taken some time to spend with his partner or help unpack, but he never did that. Something is very off. Now to AD and Clay, they are talking about meeting each other's parents and family members, and Clay also tells her, I gotta watch out for my dad because he might be flirting with you a tiny bit. We get more of an insight as to why he has perceived cheating as normal.
Infidelity was a thing, and like my dad would take me with him to some of his infidelity trips.
He also says that he has never witnessed a Black relationship where the man is not cheating, even with the celebrities that he looks up to. The fact that this man can name a Black man that he admires that has not cheated on their partner is a huge red flag.
I want love, I want to be married, I want that.
AD is clearly concerned, but not enough to leave him. Your partner is telling you there is a huge possibility that I might cheat on you, but if you give me some time and some therapy, then maybe we'll be fine. For episode 8, the couples are going to see each other's places. Chelsea's place is super cute, but also small, and her roommate, as Jimmy says, is a little too much. When they went to Jimmy's place, I was surprised to how big and full his apartment was. The first thing I noticed was the plants. Yeah. It's time to see Clay's place. He tells us he bought his home in 2021, and even though he loves the quietness of it, he would love for AD to move in with him and give the house more life. He also has a vision board, you know, it's all about manifestation. His home is definitely the house of a bachelor, but he's organized and the house was not dirty, so we're giving him some points here. Clay really wants AD to move in, and she sees herself.
I can definitely see myself raising a family here and having kids and cooking breakfast and making it work for sure.
Now they just need to make it to the altar. When we go to Jeremy's house, he already knows that Laura might be judging the moment that she steps in the house. And of course, she complains about the gym. And when she goes into the kitchen, she is very surprised because Jeremy is super clean, super organized, and super OCD. But the house was giving feminine touch, which is gonna come up later on. Let's have a talk about how empty your fridge is. What are you eating? And what about your spice rack? What are you cooking? Kenneth is an introvert and Brittany is having a really hard time understanding this because at times she thinks that he's mad at her when it has nothing to do with her, according to Kenneth.
How you feeling? Because, you know, I'm ecstatic, but how are you?
Really? Static? Whatever you say. She tells him that he seems to be a little distant with her, and at the same time, she's also trying to make an excuse for him that, you know, they just got back from the Dominican Republic and there was a sense of relaxation over there that you don't have over here. She's like, for example,
Like this morning when we woke up, and I'm like super excited, and I like smile at you, and I'm like, "Good morning, baby." And you rolled over and you're like, "Hey."
he says, you know, I'm not going to wake up every day with a huge smile on my face, and I know you want to, so please give me a little bit of grace. Again, he's on his phone and barely looking at her, so all the hopes that I had for them too are just falling apart right now. Chelsea has some of her friends come over and right off the bat starts talking about Trevor. She tells him she didn't pick the guy that had chosen her since the beginning and instead picked Jimmy.
He told me he loved me, and then Trevor didn't date anyone but me. He went in to propose.
When Chelsea was talking to her friends about Trevor, here it is clear that if Trevor would have asked her first, she would have said yes to him. And it is so foolish to me that you would put your fate on this man's hands. Like, you only picked Jimmy at this point because you knew that there was someone else that wanted to be with him. And you felt picked. And it validated your insecurities. When you couldn't pick Trevor, that would have actually made you happy.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
I had already recorded this video before the entire Trevor thing had come out. So that's why I didn't include it. That's why I was talking so nicely about him. Also, I did make a TikTok about this and it went viral, so you guys could check me out. Right here, I'll put it right here. Is Karen Chase McCorner. Is the same as my YouTube. So yeah, let's keep it going. One of her friends asked about physical touch, and according to Chelsea, Jimmy is into physical touch, but has not kissed her once today.
Being silly with you, and he's just,
Ooh. Well.
so he hasn't kissed me once today.
She is starting to feel insecure because he also saw a picture of Jessica yesterday. So I am guessing Chelsea is now thinking that is the reason why he hasn't been super lovey-dovey with her. Jimmy comes downstairs and one of Chelsea's friends asks him, what was one thing that made you fall in love with Chelsea? Jimmy says that he had a very strong connection with Jessica.
And it ended poorly. And I went in there with her and she could tell by my tone of voice I was sad from how the last date ended. And
you guys notice how he brings up Jessica first and then puts Chelsea right next to her?
And get married. What are like the next steps afterwards?
And both of them have agreed that she's gonna be the one moving into his place. Then Jimmy asked Chelsea's friends if he's the type that she usually goes for, and it is not. We all know her type. It's Trevor. And according to Jimmy, Chelsea is his type, which I don't believe, but I digress. He's literally trying to convince himself that he is in love with Chelsea and that he is attracted to her because I don't see it. After Johnny and Amy, when they walk into her place, she shows him her crystals and Johnny is like, oh no, you're a crystal girl. Amy also shows him a picture of her grandpa. In the picture she shows him, she says that she likes to think that he was guiding her into taking the trash out of her life. When they start talking about finances, Johnny makes it clear that he wants to get a house first and live as frugally as possible until he can retire. However, Amy, not so much. She does want a house, but she's more of a, live in the moment type of girly. In my relationship, my man is one that's always helping us save for our future, and me, I'm working on that. When the conversation of children comes up, they talk about how the ideal situation is for them to wait 5 years and then start trying for a child. However,
someone I was like in love with or like in a relationship with was almost always on birth control.
I know I mentioned a vasectomy.
I know. And there is, it's always like an option too. Like it's not just like the girl's like job too.
And this is the main reason why they still haven't been intimate. Using protection is not enough for Johnny. He's super scared to have a child and not be financially stable. And I am glad that he does acknowledge this. However, Amy is also anemic and it might be better for her to be on birth control according to her gynecologist. But that's not something that she wants to put herself through. I totally get her again. Birth control for women is not black and white, and there's already birth control for men, so I think Johnny should be the one taking it.
I think it's one of those things that we have to like research and kind of figure out a solution pretty soon.
Yes.
Before the wedding.
I guess this is also showing why they've been so perfect this entire time, because they haven't really talked about these things and they haven't passed this hurdle of being intimate with each other. Now moving over to Kenneth and Brittany. Brittany wants to talk to Kenneth about him waking her up at 1 a.m. when she had to wake up at 6. This man turned on all the lights just to say goodnight to her. She seems a little upset about the situation, and she's expressing to him that since they got back,
intimate feeling between like us and like the crave of like us having what we want in a marriage, the desire to have it between us.
The spark is not there, the love is not there. He tells her that he was trying to spend time with her last night at 1 a.m. in the morning, and because she didn't want to and she wasn't reciprocating, then he took it as like, oh, you just don't want to be with me right now. Then Brittany tells him,
even with the promise that we made, I would have still enjoyed that temptation of being like, no, like, oh my God, like I can't, like, holy cow.
And then this man tells her, well, that's how you feel because I don't feel like that. Don't speak for me. I do feel like after Kenneth had that conversation with AD, his mind started shifting and he told himself, if I act distant, if I'm constantly on my phone, then there's going to be a possibility that I'll shift her away from me and then I'll have an excuse to end things with her. Brittany starts to become very emotional and expresses to him that she's frustrated because even though she feels him in so many ways, what she felt in the pods is not translating in person. She wants him to be more affectionate and he's not doing it. The majority of the time when they're talking, this man is on his phone or giving her like stupid answers.
What I'm hearing from you in this moment is the caliber of a man that you are is what I need, but I don't feel X, Y, Z for you.
So, of course, Kenneth takes advantage of the situation and then they call off the engagement. And now he becomes part of the villain list. The first thing he does after the breakup is to check his phone right away. He gives her a hug and then phone again and then goes upstairs to call his friend. Now, I don't know if he should have stayed and comfort her more or did what he did, but let me know what you guys think about the situation. Back with Chelsea and Jimmy, Chelsea brings up the fact that she was very worried today because he was in a mood. Well, mood, I don't know. Jimmy says that his lips were hurting today, so that's probably why he didn't want to kiss her. She tells him, you got me worried because even when I got home, you were just like, sup? And we're like, oh my God, sweetheart, I miss you. How you doing? To Jimmy, he says that the first day back, he bought her food, so that should be enough. But it is important to know that Chelsea loves physical attention and constant validation, which Jimmy cannot give to her. According to Jimmy, he got up late and had to do his best to start working right away, and that's why he wasn't super affectionate with her. Chelsea is saying he never kisses her, which we find out that it is not true.
I kissed you when you were in the bathroom getting ready. Kissed you on your cheek, and then before your friends came over, before my last meeting of the day.
Again, another time where Chelsea chooses what to say and not to say, and there will be more. We hear more about the Jessica situation, and it turns out that Jeremy, as Nikki Jeremy,
asked if I saw Jess, and I haven't. And he showed me her Instagram, and Basically, it was like, she looks like a Kardashian.
But he mentioned it to Chelsea so she could be in the loop of what happened. But thanks to this, she's feeling insecure again. Jimmy assures her about picking her. He apologizes about being distant today and calls her clingy. Chelsea is clingy, but Jimmy is not feeling her. He never did. And he's going to get tired of the constant reassuring that she needs. And when he tells her, I just feel like you're a little clingy, she loses her mind.
Clingy?
I felt like...
Are you fucking kidding me? You mean you're calling me clingy? That was fucking rude.
So you mean to tell me that you can express yourself and tell him all the things he did wrong? You can deliberately leave out information, but he can tell you you're a little clingy because you lose your mind? To end this conversation, Chelsea says, I cooked you dinner, I watched your show with you, and then I went upstairs to have sex with you. If you're going to do things for your partner to then throw them on their face, don't do it, please. Leaving this conversation, we see Jessica meeting with Laura, and here we find out that Jimmy sent Jessica a friend request and then canceled it, put his account on private, and that was it. Laura also asked her if she's not repulsed by him. She's not, surprised, and even if she didn't find him attractive, she would have just closed her eyes and let him talk to her. She wonders what seeing him would be like because she has been spending all this time out of the pots trying to forget about him.
Yeah, I just don't want to see him and be like set back.
Laura shares that Sarah Ann, the I am a patriot conservative girly, is messaging an engaged man telling him that if there's ever an opportunity of his mind shifting regardless of the way that he decides to go, she would love to see him. Jeremy didn't reply, so he didn't do anything wrong. But then Jessica tells us,
like, no, I'm not over Jimmy. Like, I don't know if anyone in my position would be. Like, he will forever hold part of me that nobody else does.
Which is wild to me after what she said to him in the pots. And then also says that she understands that Chelsea is very attractive, but Jimmy is a man. And according to Jessica, the women that he has dated in the past look a lot like her. She knows that when he sees her, there's gonna be temptation right in front of his eyes. I did lose a tiny bit of respect for her here. She's not wrong about what she said, but come on, you don't have to say those things.
You think that he would want to see me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Laura is a snake. When you were expressing to us that Sarah Ann messaged Jeremy, you were upset and even said the audacity of this woman. But then when Jessica asked you if you think Jimmy would like to see her, you were like, yep, with a huge smile on your face. I just want you to remember that the things that you do and say come back to you. So don't forget that, Laura. Don't forget that. It is now 18 days into the weddings and it is time for the couples to meet the parents. Laura and Jeremy meet her parents, and right here she tells them about the Laura thing and their love triangle that hopefully is non-existent. She rarely allowed Jeremy to speak at times, and when they asked Jeremy what was his reason for going on the show, he says that he has had very bad dating experiences in the past.
And they've been background checked. And they've had a psychological evaluation.
He knew this was a good decision. Stay until the end to find out a little secret. And if you already know, then you're definitely a chismosa just like me. When Laura talks to her mom tells her
playing up those crazy things about the shirt, it's just fun.
And she's worried that when they talk to each other, it kind of comes off as harsh. And I agree with her. She's not the only one that brings this up. Her sister also does. I told you guys last time, I don't find things like this funny one bit. Your partner is allowed to like things without you bashing them for it. There was even one time where she made fun of his penis size. Again, disrespectful. You picked this man. Now, when AD meets Clay's mom and his younger sister, AD expresses to Clay that even though she understands how much he works and how important this is for him, she still feels like
times I feel like you will choose like convenience and comfort over coming back to the apartment, which obviously I get it if you have somewhere to be.
There was this moment where Clay raised his voice at AD, and I'm glad that his mom and sister were like, stop.
What I want to say, I mean no disrespect, but I'm going to say this because I'm 59 years old and I've been married for close to 24 years and I can do that.
This part had me laughing though, because Clay's mom was trying to give advice to AD as to what a good marriage entails. Well, we all know this woman was being cheated on the entire time. Now for Jimmy, Chelsea is going to meet Jimmy's girlfriends, and here she shares that her divorce helped her regain control of her life.
And I'm really secure in who I am as a person.
Which we have seen is not true. Jimmy cried during sex.
While y'all had sex, you cried? No, he did not.
Oh my God.
No, you did not.
I did not cry.
You did. You definitely did.
And we also find out that usually when he doesn't get that validation and clinginess from his partner, he feels like they hate him. So why were you calling her clingy the other day? Those things are not adding up, Jimmy. We move over to Amy meeting Johnny's sisters, and that meeting goes great. They just have fun the entire time. And here we go with the conversation that I have been waiting for.
You left at 10:45 and we're out till 5 something in the fucking morning.
You bet your ass I would have the same reaction Laura had if my future fiance comes home that late while going out to a bar. Bars close at 2, so what were you doing? He was going to karaoke night, then changed it to Lost and Found, and on his way there, he got a text from one of the other guys from the pods saying, "Hey, Sarah is out here, just so you know." So he chose to go, even though he thought about not going, but he did. He could have turned around, gone back home, and had Laura come with him, or maybe not even gone in the first place.
So yeah, we hung back and we talked about things.
And then when Laura asked him, were you with her till 5 a.m. in the morning? He says yes.
You hung back with Sarah Ann and was talking till 5 a.m.
Yes.
In my opinion, there is no reason why you should be hanging out with someone you had a connection with until 5 a.m. in the morning. He's like, well, I sent you my location, so it's not a big issue because you knew where I was.
Oh, but you shared your location, so I'm supposed to be good.
Laura is telling him, are you expecting me to stay up till 5 a.m. in the morning looking at your location, trying to make sure that you are where you say you are? And there's really no answer from him. But Laura played this so smart because she made sure that his lies were falling little by little. When she asked him where he was, he says that he was in the parking lot of Lost and Found until 5 a.m. in the morning. He says that he's not denying anything. So where were you, Jeremy? Tell us. We are waiting. He keeps saying that he was in the parking lot, but now he was in the alley and now he was around the corner. But this guy forgot that he had shared his location with Laura. Not only that, but Laura tricked him. She made him admit that he was at the bar. And when she said that she was asleep at 5 a.m. in the morning and that she didn't check his location, that was a lie.
You triggered my trap card!
Because she was actually checking.
I literally knew. I knew when I woke up at 5 a.m. that you were with Sarah Ann.
His whole lie just fell apart because that's what men do. Lie. Laura is also supposed to be meeting his parents today. And honestly, if she ends up showing up to this meeting, if she ends up going, I'm gonna lose all my respect for her, because don't do things that can seem wrong while you think they're right. Like, there's no way in my mind that I would hear of this happening and say, oh yeah, they were probably playing rock, paper, scissors outside in the parking lot till 5 a.m. in the morning. As I was getting ready to record this video, I found out a little gem that it turns out that Jeremy was actually engaged to someone else the moment that he applied to be on the show. And you're gonna ask, who exposed him? Well, this is the mom of the girl that he was engaged to. So this man was actually in her relationship when he applied for the show. And then I actually went on Reddit and I saw someone commenting that they were friends with the girl that he dated, and they were confirming that the reason why the relationship ended is because he cheated on her. So here we got, we got cheaters everywhere. We got liars, we got manipulators. It's literally the best season of Love is Blind, isn't it? That's gonna be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.